Hello, today in English Literature with Susan. I am here with a reading of America, a poem by Allen Ginsberg. America was originally published in 1956, and it can be considered as one of the post-war poems, post of Second World War poems in America, in which it is mentioned and it is indicated that America is not in a good condition, that America, though considered as the winner of the war, but there are many problems in the country. So the poem is called America, but actually it's a critique of the way America is governed by different politicians and different policies being just used and employed by the government in the United States of America. Sorry. Let's go and start reading the poem. But before going to a reading of the poem, let me add some points. First, that the poem is considered a form or an instance of stream of consciousness in poetry. So we move from one point of view to another and from one topic to another without any markers, signs, or there is not kind of logical consequence in the sentences and in the lines of the poem. We move from one topic to another. And Allen Ginsberg is considered as a part of what is beat movement. By beat, what do we mean when we say we have beat poetry? Ginsberg explains that I want to emulate to use the beats of the life of the people in my poetry. So instead of the traditional metrical patterns and rhyme schemes of poetry, he uses this way and he explains this in that way, that I want to reflect what is the real life of the people. So the bits of the life of the people are in there. That's why we have long sentences sometimes instead of lines, and sometimes we have shorter ones. We can find and discern different forms of musicalities and prosodical elements in poems written by Ginsberg, but not necessarily those traditional ones. So we can find, for example, Anaphora in this poem, in which one word is just used at the beginning of some sentences or some lines, but not necessarily everything matches matches with what is in our minds as a traditional poem. So let's go and read the poem itself. America, if they see the first person point of view, America, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. So at the beginning of the poem, the poet explains that I'm in a desperate condition, both economically and also psychologically. America, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. He's in such a kind of depressed state of the mind. America, $2.27, January 17, 1956. So he also mentions the date of the writing, the composition of the poem, and also he adds that I have nothing, that this is what I have, $2.27. I can't stand my own mind, and this is his mental condition. America, when will we end the human war? So he is kind of criticizing the international and global policies taken by the government of the United States to intrude into the affairs of other countries, and he thinks that this is a form of human war. Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb. And then he mentions America's maybe greatest weapon, the atomic bomb, and well you see the wording and the choice of the words in the poem. In many occasions, there are colloquial ones. They are taken from the everyday language of the people. And this is one other characteristic of Ginsberg's poems. I don't feel good. Don't bother me. I won't write my poem till I'm in my right mind. And then he continues, though he says that I won't write a poem, but the process of the composition of the poem continues. In the next lines, the poem is a rather long one. America, when will you be angelic? It is it is kind of expected from America to be a land of prosperity, to be a land of the dreams, but it never happens. Maybe it's a dream always deferred. So America, when will you be angelic? So he's asking when that dream would come true. And you see the instances of Anaphora. I told you, when will you, when will you, repeating itself throughout the lines. Maybe you look at yourself through the grave. So when the system of, when will you take off your clothes? When you die. When the system dies and a new one, that angelic one, would replace this evil system of government or system of living in America. He, in this poem, not only criticizes the policies of the people in charge, the Republicans, the Democratic Party's members, but also in other occasions in the poem, he also criticizes the people of America. So the target is not only the American government, but also the people who are living in the country. When will you? So he's asking about the date of the end of the system. Will you be worthy of your million Trotskyists? Trotsky was Marxist, and he was Russian. Here he he thinks that the government of America and the people of America should take care about, should consider as worthy the Marxist people, those who are communists. And the poem is written some years after the Red Scare. So he is criticizing the policy of deporting people or immigrants who bear some Marxist attitudes, or he's criticizing the suppression of any leftist idea and ideologies in the United States. America, so he continues asking questions. America, why are your libraries full of tears? Here he means that people who read about the difficulties or the bad condition, and they are also experiencing something dire, something difficult in life. So the people who are worthy now are now full of sorrow. America, when will you send your eggs to India? This line is an ironical one. The meaning of the simplest way we can say that what he's just telling us in this line is that why, while you have money, you don't send money in form of food for poor countries like India. But he uses the word eggs here, so he becomes also ironical and even sarcastic, by the way, if you can get it. And you see the language again. The language is the language of an angry person who can use any terms or any words against the one um, who is in front of him. I'm sick of your insane demands. When can I go into the supermarket and buy what I need with my good looks? So this is so funny. He's criticizing the capitalist system, that why should I pay money for what I buy? I'm good looking. So he's mocking the economic and financial policies of the country in this part of the poem, and he thinks maybe it's his rights because he's a good-looking person. He can buy something with that, and this can also be a critique of the attention given to superstars and people like them that who may use some resources of the country, or they go to places that are that are now maybe made for them, but because they are good looking, because they are superstars or celebrities, we can say they can use it, and they can use, or they can just be in there or buy things that they cannot afford actually. America, after all, it's you and I who are perfect, not the next world. So again, he's kind of referring to the religious attitude. So the next world is nothing, and we are perfect. This world is important. Forget about making people good. Your machinery is too much for me. Or machinery here can be defined in its mythological context. Machinery means the presence of gods. So he says that America, you're too much of a god for me. You make me want to be a saint. And okay, you as the god claim that you can make me a saint. So he thinks that America is inspiring people, and he gives promises of freedom and prosperity and many other things like that. But actually, this is not never fulfilled. There must be some other way to settle this argument. And then he thinks that maybe there are other ways, that some other way to using the military power. Maybe you can talk. You can stop changing people of the world. Stop just making everything right in your own terms. Okay, you can find other ways of argument. Burrows is in Tangiers. Tangiers or Tangier is a place in Morocco, and Burrows is one of the proponents of the Beat generation. I don't think he'll come back. It's sinister. Are you being sinister, or is this some form of practical joke? This question is not only a good rhetorical question, but a sarcastic one. Are you being sinister? Are you originally this sinister? Or are you just playing it? It's not possible to be this much sinister unless you're playing that. I'm trying to come into playing that intentionally. I'm trying to come to the point. I refuse to give up my obsession. So he thinks that he can be himself. He is insisting that I'm not going to change, even though you want to change me. I will keep the attitude, the ideology, or the idea which I find correct. America, stop pushing. I know what I'm doing, so don't push me to become a saint in your own terms. America, the plum blossoms are falling. I haven't read the newspapers for months. Every day somebody goes on trial for murder. So this is the condition of the country. That they want to change the people by trial, by force, or means and methods like that. America, I feel sentimental about the wobblies. Instead of what do you think, I think about the wobblies. The wobblies, the term wobblies is a popular name for members of industrial workers of the world. So it's a name for the proletariat class. So he sympathizes with the working classes. In America, I used to be a communist when I was a kid. I'm not sorry. So he talks about his childhood, and he thinks that in his childhood he's taken the correct political attitude. I smoke marijuana every chance I get, so maybe the correcting strategies of the country are not working in him. From childhood onwards, he's doing whatever which is against the will of the American policies. I'm sorry for the noise, if you can hear it. There's a thunderstorm here. I sit in my house for days on end and stare at the roses in the closet. So I don't work. And here, by being uh, just lazy, by not doing anything, he says that I'm against those capitalist kind of policies, those let's say policies which make you work, which gives you money, that make you a slave of the money making system. So he's against it. And by not doing so, by 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 staying at home, he's showing his refusal or opposition. He says that it's never late to do nothing. So this is a quotation. This is how he justifies this. That he's not contributing to the system by this method. When I go to Chinatown, I get drunk, never get late. My mind is made up there is going to be trouble. You should have seen me reading Marx. So He says that I am intentionally a troublesome citizen for you. My psychoanalyst thinks I'm perfectly right. So if you're just worried about my insanity because I read Marx, be ensured that my psychoanalyst had said that confirmed that it's okay. I won't say the Lord's Prayer, and this is another choice that I go against the religious institution. I go against any rules, whether religious, whether political, whether financial. I have mystical visions and cosmic vibrations. So this is how I see the world, how I see God in the world. So I don't need to go to the church. I have my own visions. I have my own inspirations. God talks to me in this way. And don't forget that it can be also a reference to using drugs and things like that. America, I still haven't told you what you did to Uncle Max after he came over from Russia. He's talking about a family member here. uh, he was somehow treated badly by the American government because he was Russian. And don't forget that we are in the middle of the Cold War when the poem is written. I'm addressing you. Are you going to let your emotional life be run by Time magazine? Now he says that he's exhausted by being controlled by Time magazine. Time magazine and that famous cover is important to the Americans because it somehow develops the taste for them, and he thinks that Time magazine is also part of the regime, part of the system, or we can call it the regime of truth if we want to use a Foucauldian term. I'm obsessed by Time magazine, and even Time magazine has made him obsessed, though he is against it. But he cannot escape reading the magazine or checking out its cover. I read it every week, like any other American. Its cover stares at me every time I slink past the corner candy store. I read it in the basement of the Berkeley Public Library. So everywhere I go, I read your propaganda, the Time magazine. It's always telling me about responsibility. Businessmen are serious. Movie producers are serious. So this is, let's say, the morale of reading the Time magazine, to be serious, to take everything serious. Everybody's serious but me. But he says, okay, even if you do it, even if you try to teach me to be serious via Time magazine and via other systems of publicity, I'm not listening. Everybody's serious but me. It occurs to me that I am America. And sometimes I think I am America. I'm talking to myself again. So you're not America. I am America. And I can talk to myself. So here is one of those occasions in which the point of view of the poem changes from the poet to his role playing of America. And now America is talking. Asia is rising against me. I haven't got a Chinaman's chance. I better consider my national resources. My national resources consist of 2 joints of marijuana, millions of genitals, and unpublishable private literature that's jet planes 1,400 miles an hour and 25,000 mental institutions. This is all what America got, according to uh, Ginsberg in this poem. 2 joints of marijuana, millions of genitals, unpublishable private literature, and jet planes. Well, a thousand mental institutions are referring to the problematic mental issues of the Americans. I say nothing about my presence, nor millions of underprivileged who live in my flower pots under the lights of 500 suns. So I'm not talking about my homeless people. It's a reference to the image America is trying to show to the world via the media, that I'm this and that. But Ginsberg is trying to take the viewpoint, let's say, to those parts which are never shown on TV, which are never shown in American movies. So we have homeless, we have let's say psychopaths, we have many people with mental issues, and this is not what you can see most of the times. You see a great dream like America in the movies. I have abolished the four houses of France. Tangiers is the next to go. And here he is referring to the intrusive policies of America. While it ignores its own people, it tries to focus or to interfere with the affairs of France and Morocco. My ambition is to be president, despite the fact that I'm a Catholic. And here we have a historical reference to John F. Kennedy. And Kennedy was a Catholic, and prior to his election, people were doubtful that whether a Catholic should become the American president. So he's talking about the biases in America and all those problems. But America, the biased people of America and the bias system is trying to abolish bias in other countries. And this is ironical. And in the poet's viewpoint in this part, America. And now we are back to the person who addresses America. America, how can I write a holy litany in your silly mood? A litany is a reference to a series of petitions for use in church, and he's just saying that okay, you're the Holy Father, you're the clergy. May I write a litany for you again? He's mocking America. I will continue like Henry Ford, my strophes. Now he's writing his litany, his kind of service, his let's say hymn of America. I will continue like Henry Ford. My strophes are as individual as his automobiles. More so, they're all different sexes. Henry Ford was the father of American automobile industry. Henry Ford was the first one who introduced the notion of the assembly line to American industries, especially automobile production. And he says, now I'm assembling my strophes, my poems, so that I can make you great again. So if people know America by Ford and his unique industry and factories, now let they know America by my strophes or by my pieces of poetry. And he thinks that his poetry is more important than Henry Ford's contribution because it can emulate and embody different sexes or different people. So his poetry can be a representation or a symbol of let's say various groups of people who are involved, a multiplicity kind of representative of the American society rather than a singular image, America. So I can show God's plenty while other aspects of America are singular. America, I will sell you strophes, $2,500, hundred, yeah, let's say $2,500 a piece, $500 down on your old trophy. So he's even talking to America with his own language, the language of money. So money talks. America, free Tom Mooney. Tom Mooney is a World War worker. America saved the Spanish loyalists. So these are the things the poet thinks America has to do. And we see another example of Anaphora. Four consecutive lines had started with America, the Spanish loyalists who fought for the Spanish Republic. America, Sacco and Vanzetti must not die. And these are activists in Italy. America, I am the Scottsboro Boys. The Scottsboro Boys were some African American teenagers who were accused of raping two white women in 1931. So he's saying that I am the representative of all rebellious figures, of all those who show no sympathy to your system, or they go against it, or your systems alike, like what is like your system in Italy or in Spain. You have to defend these people, not not um, not intruding into the affairs of the countries, and focus on things which are not related to you. If you want to do that, if you want to interfere in these matters. And in this part, he commemorates a childhood memory. So this is one personal part of the poem. America, when I was seven, Mama took me to communist cell meetings. His mother was a communist. They sold us garbanzos, a handful per ticket. A ticket cost a nickel, and the speeches were free. Everybody was angelic and sentimental about the workers. It was all so sincere. You have no idea what a good thing the party was in 1835. Scott Nearing was a grand old man, a real Mensch Mother Blur, the silk striker's Ewig. Vibration made me cry. I once saw the Yiddish orator. So you see the diversity here. I once saw the Yiddish orator Israel Amter Plain. Everybody must have been a spy. But this part shows American viewpoint, that from the point of view of the American government, all these people, because they show some sympathy towards communism, are the enemies of America or the spies of Russia. America, you don't really want to go to war. America, it's them, bad Russians. And now it shows the paranoid American attitude that it's not us, it's them. And he's using it with a childish language to show the childish policy or the childish viewpoint of the American governors. America is them bad Russians. Them Russians, and them Chinamen, and them Russians. The Russia went to eat us alive. One, sorry. The Russia's paramount. She wants to take her cars from out our garages. And here he's talking about the American people and how they think about the Russians. Her wants to grab Chicago. Her needs a Red Reader's Digest. Her wants out auto plants in Siberia. Him big bureaucracy running our filling stations. That no good. Oh, him make Indians learn read. And this is how the American government, for example, justifies the war against Russia. Because if we don't stop the Russians, they won't, or the Chinamen, or the Chinese, they will do everything like this. That they will fill our filling stations, they will control our bureaucratic system, or or they will interfere in our policies because we want to keep Indians illiterate, but him make Indians learn read. If the Russians come, or if the communists will have power in America, then the Indians would learn to read, and then they would rebel against the American policy. So this is how America justifies his actions. Him need big black niggers. Huh. Here, make us all work 16 hours a day. Help! So yeah, he make us here, make us all work 16 hours a day. It's not you, America. It's not you, American system. It's the Russians who make us to work 16 hours a day. So you see, irony as a powerful device here used by this poet. America, this is quite serious. America, this is the impression I get from looking in the television set. So, this is your public system. This is how you make a propaganda of your attitude. So, I learned this from TV. America, is this correct? I'd better get right down to the job. So he says, if this is correct, if I have to work 16 hours a day, or okay, I should have a job. Let me do my job. But actually, he wants to continue writing a poem. It's true. I don't want to join the army. So my job is not to join the army, to fight for your policies, to fight for your aims, or turn lattice, uh, a machine for shaping wood. Sorry. So in precision parts factories, I'm nearsighted, so I cannot do the usual work. I'm not near. I'm nearsighted and psychopathic anyway. America, I'm putting my queer, weird shoulder to the wheel. Anyway, this is weird, but by writing a poem, I'm doing something for you. So he's introducing a work which is not actually a work in a capitalist system, but he thinks this is the only thing he can do. Well, this was the ending of the poem. I hope I have explained the points in a comprehensive way, and thank you for listening.